study by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency shows that around 1 million people statewide are at risk of losing their place to live.
That number comes after losing 15,000 affordable homes across the state, leaving many Ohioans struggling to keep a roof over their heads.
At the center of the American map lies a vast expanse of land known as the Heartland, Ohio. It is a name that conjures images of industrial might, of steel mills that forged the backbone of a superpower, of rolling cornfields that fed a nation, and of tight-knit communities where the American dream was not just a slogan, but a birthright. For generations, cities like Cleveland, Akron, and Dayton were the engines of progress. They were places where a high school diploma and a strong work ethic guaranteed a home, a car, and a pension. But if you look closely at Ohio in the year 2025, the picture has distorted. The engines have slowed. The promise has fractured. Walk down the streets of Franklin and Columbus, or desolate stretches of East Cleveland, or the quiet, tree-lined roads of rural Athens County, and you will see a new reality. It is a reality of boarded-up windows, of tents pitched in the shadows of multi-million-dollar hospital systems, and of families sleeping in cars parked behind gas stations. This is not the Great Depression. This is Tuesday in Ohio in the year 2025. We are witnessing a silent destruction. It is not happening with a bang, but with a whimper. It is the sound of an eviction notice taped to a door in Newark. It is the sound of a zipper on a tent in Canton. It is the quiet desperation of a 60-year-old grandmother in Cincinnati realizing that her Social Security check will no longer cover the rent.
Living to paycheck is not even accurate. It's more you're living just in hopes that there's not one little
In 2025, homelessness in Ohio is not just rising, it is mutating. According to the Community Shelter Board, homelessness in Columbus and Franklin County alone surged by over 7% this year. Statewide, the Coalition on Homelessness and Housing in Ohio reports a deficit of over 160,000 affordable rental homes. But numbers are cold. They allow us to detach. Today, we are going to force you to look at the human cost. We are going to take you from the urban encampments of the capital to the hidden hollows of Appalachia, where the homeless do not stand on street corners with signs they hide in the forests, invisible to the world. We will show you how a state that once stood as a symbol of middle-class stability has become a cracked mirror reflecting America's deepest, most festering wounds. We will ask the hard questions. How does a full-time worker end up on the street? Why are we criminalizing the act of sleeping when there are no beds available? And if the heart of this nation is beating with such pain, can the rest of the country survive? Welcome to Homeless U.S. News. This is not just a story about Ohio. This is a warning for all of us.
Thinks about how they can add more housing and diverse housing to their community so that they can thrive and prosper.
The collapse of the working class. To understand why thousands of Ohioans are sleeping outside tonight, we must first dismantle a myth. The myth is that homelessness is the result of personal failure, of laziness, of addiction, of bad choices. The reality in 2025 is mathematical. It is a calculation that no longer adds up for the working class. Let's look at the data. In the 1980s and 90s, Ohio was affordable. A single income could support a family. But over the last 2 decades, a slow-motion economic catastrophe has unfolded. Globalization and automation hollowed out the manufacturing base in cities like Youngstown and Lordstown. Good-paying union jobs were replaced by the service economy jobs at warehouses, fast food chains, and retail centers that pay a fraction of the wages with none of the security. Fast forward to 2025. A new report by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition and the Coalition on Homelessness and Housing in Ohio reveals a devastating statistic. The housing wage, the amount a worker needs to earn to afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment, without spending more than 30% of their income, has hit $22.51 an hour. Now, compare that to reality. The average renter in Ohio earns just $18.62 an hour. That is a gap of nearly $4 an hour. This isn't about budgeting. This is about structural impossibility. A full-time minimum wage worker in Ohio would need to work over 80 hours a week to full-time jobs just to afford a roof over their head. We are seeing a surge in what experts call economic homelessness. These are not people battling demons, they are people battling inflation. They are the cashiers who scan your groceries, the aides who care for your elderly parents, the drivers who deliver your packages. Take the story of Michael, a former forklift operator in Dayton. He didn't lose his job because he was lazy. He lost his housing because his rent jumped by $300 a month when a new management company bought his building. I work 40 hours a week, Michael told us, sitting in his car where he now sleeps. I take showers at the gym. I go to work every day, and I still can't qualify for an apartment because my credit score took a hit. When I got sick last year, I did everything right, and I'm still homeless. This is the collapse of the working class. The safety net has been shredded. Housing is no longer treated as a human necessity. It is a commodity for investment firms and out-of-state landlords who are buying up Ohio's housing stock at record rates. In some neighborhoods in Cincinnati and Columbus, institutional investors own nearly 20% of the homes, driving up prices and driving out families. We are witnessing the erasure of the middle ground. You are either wealthy or you are one paycheck away from the precipice. And in 2025, gravity is pulling more and more people over the edge. Hidden homelessness, the Appalachian secret. When the media covers homelessness, the cameras usually point toward the tent cities of downtown Los Angeles or the subways of New York. But there is another kind of homelessness, one that is quieter, more expansive, and perhaps even more tragic. It is happening in the rolling hills of southeast Ohio, in the valleys of Appalachia, in counties like Athens, Hocking, and Perry. Homelessness does not look like a person sleeping on a sidewalk grate. In rural America, homelessness is invisible. It is hidden in the woods, down long gravel roads, and inside dilapidated vehicles. This is the phenomenon of the hidden homeless. In rural Ohio, there are almost no shelters. In a city like Columbus, if you lose your home, there's a system, however flawed, of emergency shelters and soup kitchens. In rural Vinton County, there's nothing. No shelter, no public transit to get to a job interview, no safety net. So, people adapt. They couch surf, rotating between the living rooms of relatives until relationships fray. They move into abandoned farmhouses with no running water or electricity. They live in pop-up campers tucked away in the Wayne National Forest, moving every 14 days to avoid rangers. We spoke to Jessica Stroh from the Hocking Athens Perry Community Action Program. She describes a crisis that is almost impossible to quantify because the people living it are trying so hard not to be seen. In small towns where everyone knows everyone, the shame of homelessness is paralyzing. If you are seen sleeping in your car in the church parking lot, the whole town knows by morning. So, you hide. This isolation is dangerous. In the winter of 2025, as temperatures in the Ohio River Valley dropped below zero, the hidden homeless were miles away from warming centers. We met a family in Athens County, Sarah and her two young daughters. They live in a single wide trailer that belongs to a distant cousin. The floor is rotting and there is no heat. They use space heaters, praying the old wiring doesn't spark a fire. Technically, they have a roof. In reality, they are homeless. I can't go to a shelter because the nearest one is 30 miles away, Sarah says. My kids go to school here. If we leave, they lose their school, their friends, the only stability they have. So we stay here, and we freeze, and we hope spring comes early. This region has been economically devastated by the exit of the coal industry. Now, it is being devastated by a housing market that has no inventory for low-income families. Landlords are converting properties into Airbnbs for tourists visiting Hocking Hills, pushing locals out. The rural homeless are the ghosts of Appalachia. They are the people who have been left behind by an economy that extracts resources and leaves poverty in its wake. They are not counted in the point-in-time surveys because the surveyors don't walk deep enough into the woods to find them. But they are there, and they are waiting for an America that remembers they exist. The loss of identity, when dignity disappears. Homelessness is a thief. It steals your physical comfort. Yes, it steals your safety. But its most brutal crime is the theft of your identity. In our society, we are defined by our address, your driver's license, your bank account, your ability to vote, your ability to enroll your children in school. Everything is tied to where you sleep. When you lose that key, you cease to be a citizen in the eyes of the system. You become a case number. You become a transient. You become the homeless. We are seeing a terrifying demographic shift in Ohio in 2025. The silver tsunami. The fastest growing population of homeless individuals is not young men with addiction issues. It is seniors, men and women over the age of 55 who have worked their entire lives, raised children, and paid taxes. We visited a shelter in Cleveland and met Robert, a 68-year-old former mechanic. Robert's hands are stained with grease from 40 years of labor. He receives a Social Security check of $1,200 a month. Last year, his rent was raised to $1,300. I paid my bills my whole life, Robert says, his voice quiet, his eyes fixed on the floor. I never asked for a handout. Now, I'm sleeping on a cot next to a kid who is screaming at invisible demons. I look in the mirror, and I don't recognize the man looking back. I used to be a father, a grandfather, a neighbor. Now I'm just a bum to the people walking past. The psychological toll is devastating. Dr. Mohammed Kabai, a researcher studying stress and addiction, notes that the trauma of homelessness actually rewires the brain. The constant state of hypervigilance, worrying about where to sleep, where to pee, who might hurt you, creates a toxic stress load that degrades cognitive function. And then there is the shame. In Ohio, where self-reliance is a cultural pillar, the feeling of failure is crushing. We met a woman named Grace in Columbus who hides her homelessness from her own children. She sleeps in her car but visits them on weekends, pretending she has a small apartment undergoing renovations. I can't let them know, she whispers. I can't let them see me like this. If I lose their respect, I lose everything. For the children growing up in this crisis, the damage is generational. The Indiana Department of Education, which tracks trends similar to Ohio, reports that homeless youth are far less likely to graduate high school. They change schools constantly. They are hungry. They are tired. They learn early that the world is not safe, that stability is a lie. When we talk about homelessness, we talk about housing units and budgets. We rarely talk about the soul. But in the shelters of Ohio, souls are being eroded, day by day, by the grinding humiliation of having nowhere to belong. Light in the darkness, the heroes among us. If this story were only about suffering, it would be unbearable. But in the darkness of this crisis, there are lights. They are not politicians. They are not billionaires. They are neighbors. Across Ohio, an army of compassion is fighting back. In Athens, there is a place called the Timothy House, run by an organization called Good Works. For over 40 years, they have operated not just as a shelter, but as a community. They don't just warehouse people, they welcome them into a family. We spent time with the volunteers at Good Works. They are college students from Ohio University, retired teachers, and former residents who have come back to serve. They cook meals together. They sit on the porch and listen. They practice what they call radical hospitality. We don't try to fix people, says one longtime volunteer. We try to love them, because often the people coming to us haven't heard their own name spoken with kindness in years. Healing starts with dignity. In Akron, the Peter Morin Center operates on a shoestring budget, but with an abundance of heart. They run a drop-in center and outreach teams that go directly to the encampments. They bring hot food, warm socks, and human connection. They are named after the co-founder of the Catholic Worker Movement, and they live by his philosophy to build a new society within the shell of the old, one where it is easier to be good. We watched as a volunteer named Marcus, who himself was homeless 3 years ago, washed the feet of a man living under a bridge. It was a biblical scene in a modern setting. I know how cold these concrete floors get, Marcus says. I know how much your feet hurt when you walk all day to stay warm. I'm not a savior. I'm just a friend. These volunteers are filling the gaps left by the state. They are the ones navigating the labyrinth of bureaucracy to help someone get a birth certificate. They are the ones driving people to doctor's appointments. They are the ones holding the hand of a dying man who has no family left. They face immense challenges. Funding is always tight. Burnout is high. The public often criticizes them for enabling the homeless, but they persist. They are the moral conscience of Ohio. They remind us that even when the system fails, humanity does not have to. Innovation from the bottom up. While politicians debate in the State House, communities are taking action. They are done waiting for top-down solutions. They are building their own. In Columbus, a groundbreaking project called Vista Village has opened its doors. It is the city's first tiny home community, specifically designed for people exiting chronic homelessness. Imagine a neighborhood of 41 small, dignified homes. Each one is just 400 square feet, but it has a front porch, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a locking door. It is not a shelter. It is a home. Vista Village is not free housing. It is a transitional program. Residents pay a small portion of rent. They have access to on-site physical and mental health services, job training, and community gardens. The goal is to rebuild the skills of independent living that life on the streets can erode. We aren't just building houses, says the founder of Vista Village. We are building a neighborhood. People heal in community. When you have a neighbor who looks out for you, when you have a porch to sit on, you start to believe in the future again. This model is cheaper, faster, and more humane than traditional shelter systems. It recognizes that privacy and autonomy are essential for mental health recovery. In Cleveland, we see innovation in the form of street medicine. Programs like Project Rise are taking healthcare out of the hospitals and into the vans. Doctors and nurses are driving to the encampments to treat wounds, manage diabetes, and provide addiction medication. They understand that a person worried about where they will sleep tonight is not going to make a follow-up appointment at a clinic across town. So the clinic comes to them. In rural areas, mobile libraries are becoming lifelines, offering not just books, but Wi-Fi access so people can apply for jobs and government benefits. Churches are converting parking lots into safe parking zones, where people living in cars can sleep without fear of police harassment. These are not massive government programs. They are local, nimble, and effective. They prove that the solutions to homelessness do not require a miracle. They require creativity, will, and the belief that every person deserves a place to be. The political wall, criminalizing survival. But for every step forward, there is a wall. And in 2025, that wall is getting higher and harder to climb. Following the Supreme Court's ruling in Grants Pass versus Johnson in 2024, which allowed cities to ban sleeping in public even if no shelter is available, a wave of criminalization has swept through Ohio. In Newark and Heath, city councils passed ordinances banning camping on public property. The language is bureaucratic, but the impact is violent. It effectively makes it illegal to be homeless. If police find you sleeping on a park bench or in a doorway, you can be fined. If you can't pay the fine, and who among the homeless can, you go to jail. We attended a city council meeting in Newark where these measures were debated. The tension was palpable. Business owners demanded clean streets. Advocates pleaded for compassion. But the vote passed. Now, Newark is trying to implement a home court, a diversion program intended to steer those arrested into treatment rather than jail. But the fundamental problem remains. There is not enough housing. You can divert someone to a case manager, but if the case manager has no apartment to offer, the cycle continues. This criminalization creates a permanent underclass. Once you have a criminal record for trespassing or camping, you are often barred from public housing and disqualified from many jobs. The law that is supposed to clean up the streets actually traps people on them. Politicians often choose these measures because they offer the illusion of a quick fix. It is easier to arrest someone than to build affordable housing. It is easier to sweep a tent city than to address the root causes of poverty. But let's be clear, arresting a homeless person does not solve homelessness. It simply moves the suffering out of sight, behind bars, at a tremendous cost to the taxpayer. It is a policy of erasure, not resolution. A call to conscience. Ohio, the Heartland. It is a place where we claim to value neighborliness, hard work, and community. But the evidence on our streets tells a different story. From the shuttered storefronts of Youngstown to the hidden camps of Appalachia, we are witnessing a tragedy that is entirely man-made. We have built an economy that leaves the working class behind. We have built a housing market that serves profit, not people. And now, we are building laws that punish those who fall through the cracks. When you drive past a tent on the side of the highway tomorrow, or when you see someone sleeping in their car at a rest stop, ask yourself, what separates you from them? Is it really hard work? Or is it a safety net, a family member who could take you in? A savings account that hasn't been drained by a medical emergency? The distance between us and them is terrifyingly small. Homelessness is not a disease. It is a condition created by the choices we make as a society. And that means we can make different choices. We can choose to support the Housing First model, which has been proven to work. We can choose to fund mental health services instead of prisons. We can choose to support the heroes at Good Works, the Peter Morin Center, and Vista Village, who are doing the work every single day. This crisis is not insurmountable. We have the resources. We have the innovation. What we lack is the collective will. Maybe one video can't change the world. But if one person, if you decides to look at the homeless not with judgment, but with curiosity and compassion, that is a start. The answer to America's future isn't in the skyscrapers of Washington or the boardrooms of Wall Street. It is here in the quiet streets of Ohio. It is in how we treat the least among us. Don't look away. Share this story. Support your local shelter. Demand better from your leaders. Because a nation that leaves its people behind is a nation that has lost its way. Thank you for watching Homeless US News. Thank you for caring. Now, go out there and be someone's miracle.